Okay. Um, Kuno reworks. This is probably gonna be Succession only. I haven't played enough Awakening to really give a decent first impressions. I've mostly spent my time playing Succession. Um, so I have overall, it's pretty good. There's some nitpicky problems I have, and like one or two like actual problems that need to be fixed. But mostly good. Let's go over a few things. First, we can pull mobs for grinding. If you jump through kunai, there's an explosion. You can see pretty good. Also with tendon being changed, you can just tendon through mobs that don't get stiffed. Um, it's really good for pulling mobs. So protected damage. Um, they added the 2 hits back on clone. They made Shadow Explosion full SA during the skill. And Flash Slash got damage is very, very strong. So we now have protected damage. Not a whole lot. You know, you're not going to trade a Musa by any stretch or most other classes, but you can help secure kills now, which is very, very nice. Oh, and Dance. Dance is a lot. Can't forget that. Probably does most given how quick it is. Improved flow. So you can do things like Crescent Fox clone and still get the air smash on clone and then flow into like stomp, and that's all air attack. Yeah, pretty crazy. Um, you know, other flows like canceling skills with tendon, like ankle cutter right there. You move faster, canceling stomp with smoke into conceal. You know, it's just improvements with most skills flowing together overall means you're faster, both with attacks and in movement. Um, grab changes are both good and bad. I mean, in terms of 1v1, it's healthy. It's bad, but it's healthy for the game, I think. You know, I don't think Kuno's grab was ever very short of a cooldown, but it was one of the, it was 10 seconds. Now it's 15. More reasonable. It wasn't like fucking 7 seconds warrior bullshit, but yeah. Like I said, it's bad for us in 1v1s, but it's good overall. I do think this is better for small scale and large scale because every grab is now SA. So re-CCing with a grab, maybe not on a Kuno because your grab's a bound or something, but it's still an option. Um, I don't think Kuno's going to be flavor of the month in anything. Maybe grinding, maybe you'll see some of the like crazy grinders who like try and push the maximum amount of trash per hour and everything because you have a whole lot of damage when it comes to grinding. But even then, I don't think it'll reach that point. Our AoEs are too small for that. Um, yeah. And in PvP, other classes are just they're just better. I think Kuna's in a decent spot. I don't think it's overpowered. Maybe in 1v1s, but there are always classes that are better in 1v1s. So it's hard to say. Oh, what just sold? Let's check real quick. I am curious. I've been putting outfits on pre-order all the time and failing pen over and over again. No. Now at least I have some money. I'm still very poor though. Moving on. Um, the big thing that needs to be fixed, in my opinion, is the Q block change. Currently, before it used to be that if you S blocked and you absorbed a hit with your block, that you just absorbed the hit, nothing happened. You were free to do, cancel out of it, do whatever you want. But now, if I use S block and I get hit, it forces me into Q block, which you can get block locked very, very easily. This is one of the worst block locks in the game, and this is probably the biggest reason Kuno's never used Q block. One, because it drains your stamina when it's being used, and two, because you get block locked and then you're just fucked. This is a major problem for PvE and PvP. For PvP, obviously you get block locked and they just, go behind you and fucking kill you. You can't do anything because you have very few skills that can cancel out of it. And also it basically forces a brain fart because you think you can do something out of it, but you can't. In PvE, when you're using the new inputs for clone, you have to press S and then RMB. If you press RMB, you're going to throw kunais. And this gives you a rune, which you want to use to get your, Wheel of Wrath, which is your big boy chunky damage. I'll get into more of that later. But basically this means when mobs are hitting and you hit S, it immediately puts you in a Q block, and you can't really get out of it when you're being block locked. You have to go step out. It really, really annoys me. Yeah, that's something that needs to be reverted, like immediately, as soon as possible. It's extremely annoying. One of the biggest problems people had with Awakening Kuno back in the day was that the block lock. A lot of people would sit in the pre-awakening to S block because there was no block lock. Awakening had block lock, but it was never this bad. Yeah. So that's only like the really, really big thing. Now I'm gonna go over some like the nitpicky things that could be adjusted or fixed or whatever. Prime Clone still has collision. This has been bugged since they changed clone. ABS clone does not have collision. Actually, let's find out. Let's see if instead of making them both have no collision, they just added collision to ABS. Nope, nope, still no collision. Again, this is the same. This is a problem for more or less the same reasons. You know, you hit clone, and then you go into. The idea is that when mobs are all around you, you know, you've pulled your mobs, you want to do this. Clone hits them all, and then you get behind whatever mobs are behind you, and then you hit all of them with Stomp. So you get all your damage and some back attack on the mobs that are hitting you, you know, from behind. Currently, like I said, these are nitpicky. These aren't like the biggest of deals when it comes to like how the class functions. It's not going to break the game if they don't ever change it or whatever. But it is really, really strange that they just haven't fixed this yet. Yeah, it'd help make grinding less aggravating. I'm actually probably gonna have to put clone on my bar because trying to SRMB while grinding is terrible. But I fully encourage people to use SRMB in PvP. It's pretty rare that you get block locked in the inputs there because it happens in PvE because you got, you know, 10 mobs all whacking you at the same time. It doesn't happen in like 1v1s very much. I wish I could say it happens in Node War or not, but as you can see, I'm not in a guild, and I can't really test in Node Wars. My gear's kind of too shit to really do RBFs. I may end up changing my seasonal to Kuno just to do some like testing with, you know, when everyone's the same gear and stuff. But that'll probably be later. So most of this is going to be for like small scale or how I envision it would go in Node Wars. So anything that I say is directly related to large scale, take with a bit of salt because I'm not entirely certain. I can't really test there, unfortunately. Yeah. So split damage still exists on explosion. They did give us the SA on the skill finally. It's very, very nice. It helps with the problems we had with SA. But it still has split damage. And, you know, split damage is something that's supposed to help balance out ranged DPS, not melee. And while this does have some range to it, it's not that big of a deal. And honestly, if you're able to hit two people with the skill, you shouldn't be punished for it because it's so rare that that happens. Yeah. Pulling mobs. I did say this was improved. This is, you know, far better than what we had before, but it's not amazing. It's like actually kind of hard to hit both of them. Like if you're off even a little bit. Oh, okay, maybe not. But yeah, the problem is when you get an aiming reticle and it auto targets the mob when you're trying to target here. Because if you're coming at it from like an angle like this, you can't get it there because the auto target. But at the same time, you want auto target for like block jump and stuff, and having to go in and change that for like just a grind is very obnoxious. So also, this is by no means anywhere near as powerful as pressing Shift Q on a lawn and hitting all these mobs and pulling all of them. And being able to do that over and over again regardless of cooldown. Like, it's nowhere near the same level of pulling power. And, you know, and one of the rework ideas was that to bring all classes up to, you know, the similar strengths with one another. In terms of grinding, our grinding, like I said, has been improved, but we're not Sucklon. You know, we're not fucking Sage, Awaken Sage, um, Awaken Nova. We still have polling problems compared to some of these classes. Although I guess Nova does have similar polling issues. Um, Explosion still has a dead zone. They said they fixed this, they didn't. When you like grab somebody and then like use an explosion, it usually works, but if they're like right in front of you, sometimes you won't get full damage. I've noticed there's like a bit of a dead zone at the very, very edge of the skill. It's kind of awkward, like there. Right there. You can see it hit him at the last few. Um, yeah. They said that they fixed this once and they didn't. Then they fixed it again, quote unquote, fixed it. And it's still not fixed. It's I'm not a developer, but it seems so weird that they've fucked this up twice. Um, yeah. We still have cooldown problems. It's nowhere near as bad as before. Explosion really helps with some of the SA problems that we have as well. But they're still there. Not in PvE, more really just PvP. It could be that I just need to get used to the new Kuno. So my opinion of this may change as I play more. But currently, I still feel like we have cooldown issues. It's just nowhere near as bad as it used to be. They didn't touch up useless skills. One of their, biggest things, like I said with PvE, was to touch up skills that are useless or underutilized, I believe was the term that they used. The only thing that they changed was like ground thrust being a little bit faster. It still doesn't do any damage really at all. It's still a bound, which is a shitty CC. But it's a little bit faster. It, I guess it makes for like good clips or something. I don't know. Kunai Stab is still completely worthless. It actually reduces your DPS by taking it. They increased the speed of Kunai Stab. They didn't touch the damage at all. So it's still a DPS drop when you use it. They didn't touch Tragic Blade at all. Literally at all. And they didn't do anything for flow kickdown at all. Yeah. So we still have shuriken skills. It's kind of surprising that they haven't just separated Kuno ninjas offhands. Like Kunos are just perma locked into kunais and ninjas are perma locked into shurikens, and they, just get rid of these skills or swap them out for something. Yeah. So yeah, they didn't really touch up any very underutilized skills. Stamina issues. We have pretty bad stamina issues now. Again, this is one of those things where it might change as I play more and get used to everything that's different. But it's pretty bad. I was in the BA1 fighting in the arena, and I was having problems of like burning out my stamina. Like every fight, when someone joined, I'd be like near very low on stamina. And then you run out trying to fight them, and you just die because you can't do anything. One of the things that they did was change like ankle cutter to cost stamina, which I can understand. It is a movement skill. I'm kind of the opinion that any skill that gives movement should cost stamina, with a few exceptions to balance out the class. Like our tendon cutter doesn't cost stamina. It's one of the few skills that lets us regen stamina. Flash, again, but that's not. I mean, it is a movement skill now, but not in the same way like these skills are, So yeah, we do have some stamina issues. I'm not sure if this is really a bad thing though. This might be one of those, to help keep things balanced, because we are really, really fast. So yeah, this is like the stamina issue sort of thing is probably like the lowest on the list here. But it is something I wanted to address. Again, I probably will change my mind later once I play the class more. The rune system. While they did improve it, I believe they improved it in a lazy way. Um, I wanted to see, rune releases actually mean something in PvP or PvE, and while they do mean something in PvE, it's just like big boy damage with like heals and recoveries and stuff. I wanted to see like different release, mostly on clone. Like this 90 bleed is worthless. It's worthless. I don't know how else to put it, but yeah. Um, and they actually nerfed Stomp release for PvP, which is sad, but that's okay. We so yeah. They added more ways to get runes with Foxclaw and Tendon Cutter. Foxclaw gives you the same buff as Clone. Tendon gives the same buff as Explosion. And now when you use a 2-rune release, it doesn't consume the runes. So even if I have all 3, I get rune release, rune release, rune release, and then only the 3 rune actually consumes the runes. It's nice. But like I said, it seems just like kind of a lazy sort of thing. And disappointing is the best word. That's the word I wrote down here in my notepad. Um, Nerf to Rune Stomp and Rune Wheel. I believe this is unnecessary. If you have all the runes to use Rune Wheel and you use it in a combo, yeah, this hits hard. I do think it could stand to hit harder and wouldn't break things. It's completely unprotected. It is a little bit faster. It also flows after skills faster. It still chunks. This is by no means a bad release at all. Like this slaps in PvE, it slaps in PvP. I just wish it slapped a little more in PvP, but again, my AP is low. It's probably just my AP more so than the skill. They hardly touched our bombs. I think Oni Shadow and Sinucut are very, very strong, especially now that they fixed the iframe on entering concealment. This makes both of these skills even stronger than they were before. They didn't touch Heart Snatch, like at all. They didn't touch it at all. Assassin's Trail, they lowered the cooldown, and they did change pet damage, and this is a pet damage skill. There may be a place for this, but it still has the problem of being like only partly iframe. Like the forward guard into iframe is very slow. The movement's so small. The iframe doesn't last very long. Yeah. But the damage I think it might actually have a place as like semi-protected damage, sort of like a lot of Suck Ninja skills. They have like an unprotected portion into a protected portion that does damage. This is sort of like the backwards version of that. It's like the protected into unprotected. Ankle Splitter, they lowered the cooldown, but this skill literally it's literally dog water. Again, bounds are terrible CCs for Kuno. They're really, really bad. Bounds should be 0.7 in my opinion. They're really that bad. And this still doesn't really do damage. Like a 56% reduction in a skill that doesn't hit that hard in the first place is pretty huge. Shackle target cooldown's exactly the same. Damage is the same. That's all fine. This skill's fine. But these were kind of the 3 that I were hoping that they would touch. And they did with these 2, but it was like pointless. Like this skill's problem wasn't the cooldown. It's that it doesn't matter if the skill's a 1-second cooldown. It doesn't do anything. This is it may have a place, but I just wish you could, do something to keep protected during the iframe. I am of the opinion that gaps should exist in classes, but this is still a bit much, in my opinion. Especially for a bomb. You see some of these classes that like have these 8-second cooldown bombs that hit like trucks and they're fully protected, and yeah, ours just aren't like that, unfortunately, and they weren't really touched. Now let's talk about the good stuff. I wanted to get the bad stuff out of the way first. And talk about all the good stuff. Lots of cool new mechanics. Well, it's like, it's like forward guard on ankle cutter. That's that lets us approach. You know, usually when you're fighting an archer, you don't want to use ankle cutter because they will just rip you out of it. You always want to wanted to approach with tendon first, and then, you know, bait them into doing something that you know you won't get CC'd out of, so you can follow with ankle. But now you can just literally ankle and tendon back to back, stay completely protected. It's very nice for approaching. This goes for against ninjas who are throwing malices at you. You probably, if you ever played Kuno, you've been desynced out of like your ankle. You like ankle to the side, and you'll still like rubber band you back here, and you'll get CC'd. This should help with that a lot for just approaching. Not really, like you'll probably still get in the back sometimes when you do it to like back off, but yeah. Flash. Well, that's not flash, but that also is technically different and something you need to get used to. You know, you now actually have protected damage, and I'm not entirely certain about like protected damage combos yet. That'll probably take some time, and it's very hard to do that without being able to practice realistically. Like Node Wars. So, yeah, but there's a lot to learn for all classes, not just your own. Like even if you're a Kuno main, you still have to learn what like a Musa does now because everyone's fucking playing it. So yeah, I find that stuff fun. I think that's good. Changing the game is always fun for me. New inputs, you know, WQ for tendon, and SRB for clone. I've talked about the problems with SRB for clone, but that's more of a Q block thing. If they just fixed the S block, it would be fine, I think, in my opinion. Yeah. You do have to be a little bit careful with tendon because the W input means there is a gap. You know, however quickly you can press those two together. But yeah, it's fine. It's good stuff. Being able to fucking cancel shit with tendon. Like you can flash and then cancel flash with tendon. That's crazy. I actually, thinking back now when I was fighting in the arena, I could have done that a few times. It would have saved me. Especially when you like do flash, you're waiting, you try to like cancel the second teleport, but you can't do that with Ghost Step because you'll just teleport again until after a certain point. Yeah. I did complain about this, but this, like I said, this is still an improvement to our grind by a lot. Any place where you don't want to stiff mobs, meaning you don't want to tendon through them, Star's End, this is huge. It is, I mean, I like it and hate it. I think it's really silly that we have to jump and then right click to pull mobs. You know, it doesn't feel good to do. It looks cool. Like, I love this animation. I just wish the AoE was a little bit bigger, and I honestly wish that we could have just have kunai throw on a 2-second cooldown, usable when it's on cooldown, and when it's on cooldown, it's exactly the same. When it's off cooldown, it's that. You know? That would be miles better in my opinion. No one likes to have to fucking jump to do that. Clone. Clone is really, really good. As I was kind of showed off a little bit earlier, you can do, you know, some crazy stuff like that. You get all that air attack before you even get to wheel. And Clone actually does do damage. It's not like a nuke where you're not going to chunk people. And if you're hitting people who are especially tanky compared to your AP, it's not going to be big boy damage. But it is damage and does flow very, very nicely with other skills. So it feels very, very good to use now. Yeah. New Flash. I've talked about this multiple times. It's incredibly, incredibly strong. Borderline OP. I hope they don't nerf it because our kit lacks a lot of like just protected damage in general compared to other classes. So having this one really, really strong skill is good, but I also am of the opinion that your power should be spread out more. You know, one of the problems with Awakening Ninja was that all their power was in like Serpent, and they did spread that out more, which is good. So I don't know. It'll be. I need to use it more, I think, to get a good idea. But if people do start complaining about Kuno, this will probably be the skill they're going to complain about. I mean, like, this is so good. Yeah. Excuse me. I already talked about this, but improved flows means faster movement and combos. Like I said, yeah, we've already talked about that. New dance, huge amounts of damage. Like this, it was like 924% times 4, and now it's like fucking, it's insane how much extra damage it got. They did up the PvP damage, so it's not like we're actually doing like 8 times the damage with dance. But yeah, this is really strong. You know, if you see a homie CC someone over there, you're just like, oh, let me help real quick. You know? So, and you can like dance clone explosion for just all protected damage without ruining your homie's combo. You know? That's so nice. That's so nice. That's gonna be huge for like small scale. Pet damage. Sinu, I was always of the opinion that Sinu did really good damage, but it sort of fell off the more AP you got because it was pet damage, and now it just does really good damage. It's not going to nuke people. It does. It's it's damage over time, really, but it's still really strong. If you watch like, I think it was Frosty who had a clip of him doing it against an evasion player, and it like nearly killed the guy. All he did was like CC him to get some air attack with it. But yeah, it's really, really good. Concealment is finally iframe when we go into concealment. So like if I use Sinew Cut, that jump back is protected. There's still a gap in the in the beginning and after, but that's how it should be. Anytime you enter concealment, it's iframe. So smoke conceal, super armor iframe. Sinew Cut, iframe. Oni shadow, iframe. Yeah. So the class feels a lot better. This is gonna be crazy to say. It feels stronger in 1v1s, which is probably gonna scare some people. It feels a lot better in small scale. I would assume it's going to feel better in Node Wars, but it's not going to be very strong. You're not going to see Kuno's top fragging in Node Wars. Not Suck, not Awakening, in my opinion. I don't think. Like I said, we still have cooldown problems. We still have stamina issues. We can't sit there and fight nonstop all the time. So, yeah, I do think this is one of the more balanced reworks, except maybe in 1v1s. We'll see. I do think, there are still better classes when it comes to 1v1, but we might actually be better than ninjas now. Like, it's very strong in 1v1s. I think people are more concerned about Musa right now. So who knows? We might not get nerfed. Everyone's worried that they're going to get nerfed. But Mooses are almost assuredly going to get nerfed because even Mooses are saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to get nerfed." So I believe it was APOC's Node War like versus Clash. I think all the 4 top fraggers were 2 Mooses, 2 Mewas, which is that says a lot. Like, yeah, you're not gonna see Kunos up there, I don't think. Maybe if they're really, really, really good, you'll see them in top 10. Maybe top 5, but like top 3, probably not. Top, definitely not. I don't think that's. It's just as great protected damage as this is, it's very hard to like steal a kill with that. It's more easy like with these two, but yeah, I mean, this still comes out. It's not an instant nuke. So, yeah, overall, I'm very, very happy with the reworks. It's just the one thing, if I could change anything, would be this like stupid forces you into S block. I should just go find mobs to hit me to show it, but just have to take my word for it. I'm kind of lazy, and I'm pretty sure I'm in Heidel right now. So, oh shit, I keep doing that. So yeah, that's the one thing that just needs to be fixed or changed. Why? You already did that. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're interested in the class or any class, Tagging a character costs 1 Marty fuel total right now. There's an event going on. If you want to try Kuno just for fun, it costs 1 Marty fuel. That's 5 mil silver. That's literally like, you know, just a few mobs at any Hadoom spot. It's basically free. If you do Node Wars, you can buy Marnie fuel for like half the cost at the little, the vendor. That's where most of these came from when I was Node Warring with Ego. Yeah, you can tag whatever you want, try whatever you want. Boost is very, very strong. Kuno's a lot of fun. Awakening Kuno got a lot of changes. I do think it's in a better spot. I might do a video on that Awakening Kuno later once I've played it more. I'm probably gonna go grind on it some on my stream. I set up my add-ons for that and everything. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Subscribe if you feel like it, I guess. You know. Hit that like button for your grandma to come back to life. That's what YouTubers do, right? Have a good day. Merry Christmas.